everybody, it's Mailbag. I've got some items that came from Amazon and other places that have not been opened, but that I already can tell what they are. I've been in Maryland for a couple of months doing a house remod, and so some things were shipped with some other things up there. And this first thing is the Faraway, what would you call it? Like an angle finder. And so let's take a look at this thing. So I realized this thing was going to be about impossible to film from the top. But this thing is a couple different things in one. The first thing it is a level. And so let me get it down here. And it tells you how level or not level something is. You can also use it on its side like this. And it is magnetic. Now, the main reason why I wanted something like this was for my saws. So I want to know that my table saw blade is exactly 90 degrees. I want to know, different things about my miter saw and stuff like that. So when you're doing bevels and things like that, you want to be able to set those things accurately. And so I wanted a digital one of these things. I didn't realize that it also has a laser level on it, which is kind of cool. And the laser level can shoot out from either side or both sides, as you can see. You can calibrate it, you can hold, all that kind of stuff. So this thing was like 17 bucks or so from Amazon. And I'm going to put it on my table saw and see how it works. But so far, not a bad deal. I had a Klein one on my Amazon wish list when this thing came up in Ben's Bargains, and I just decided to go for this one. So we'll see. I should add before I forget that it is rechargeable. It doesn't take individual batteries. It is USB-C. A lot of people will be excited about that. USB-C rechargeable. And so has a little manual, things like that. But overall, looks pretty self-explanatory. Next up, we've got a couple of wiring related things. We have these Ideal Inshore push-in wire connectors, and we have some brand name Wago connectors. So let's see, this says it's got a reclosable seal here. I'm gonna see if it's child-proof or how I can use that. The heck? Maybe do just cut the top and then there's zero chance I'm keeping this in the bag. Okay, so we've got these 4 connector ones. I did have some older 3 connector ones. I don't know if they're the same brand or not. But the idea of these is they're just kind of push-in wire connectors. Now, I'm old school. I tend to like to use wire nuts and things like that. But these things are supposed to be pretty decent. They come on a lot of light fixtures, and if they're there, I use them. But if I'm installing it myself, I generally go with wire nuts, but I could see the attractiveness of something like this. So I've got some 14 gauge wire here. I didn't really do a whole lot of work to strip it to any right length or anything like that, but the idea is you just stick it in and it should not come out. And I mean, I'm pulling pretty good and that wire is not coming out. So I'm sure there's a way to release it somehow. Let's see here, let's just go ahead and cram all 3 in. And there we go. You can see it's sort of like when you're doing Ethernet, you can see that the wire has made it all the way to the top. What's it say about releasing it? Let's see here. Oh, to remove it, you cut it. You cut the wire. And yeah, there is no easy release on something like this. So it's one and done. But these are Ideal Inshore wire connectors. And I mean, they are freaking strong. Like that wire is not going anywhere. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of old school electricians tell me horror stories about times this stuff did come loose, but at least in my single example, that thing is on there. And next up, we have the loved, hated, and often duplicated Wago connectors, and called lever nuts. So we're gonna open these up. Now these are supposed to be brand name. These came from Amazon. I don't actually have any fake ones. I will try to get my hands on some fake ones, do some comparisons, and see if I can tell the difference. But these, it looks like you're supposed to open up the side of the box. I'm just gonna rip it. So these are a little bit different. They have these little levers that you pull up like this and stick the wire. Man, you can tell by my hands, I've been doing construction. So the wires go in like this. Well, let's see, they go in like this. Let's get them both at the same time. Now, I didn't strip these the right length. Not bad. And then you snap them down and same deal. They do not come out when you yank on them. Now the idea is that you can clip these open and take them out. You can see it got a decent little bite on the wire there. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a decent little bite on that wire. Now I sort of wonder if maybe put it in upside down next time so it bites the other direction. I could imagine this could, you're cramming around and tugging and pulling and stuff like that. I could imagine it'd be possible to pull one of these things open, but so far they look pretty cool. So these are brand name Wago connectors, and these are not cheap. It's 100 of them. I feel like it was like close to 40 bucks, something like that. I don't know. It was a lot of money. But they're Wagos. Next up, I've got this knife that I use all the time. This is my Stanley Fat Max 789 dual utility knife. One blade over here. You can see there's a hook blade on this side. Let's see, you can see there's a hook blade on this side, straight blade on this side, blade storage on the bottom. And I've had this one for 5 or 6 years. Before that, I had this Bostitch 10789 by Stanley. And this is the same deal. This one is like probably 15 years old, and you can see it's a little worse for wear, but still operating well. Well, I've wanted to give away some of these things as gifts, but they just don't make these two actual models anymore, and people don't necessarily love the newer models. And I kind of want to see if that is user error or if that is that the new design is not as good. So I have purchased this one, which I'm not going to take out of the package right now. This is a Craftsman, and you can see, I mean, the rivets are in the same place, like everything looks real similar, but there were a lot of people talking about they couldn't even get this thing out of the package. It's actually kind of funny because, brand new from the factory, got some paint chippage in there. But so this is the Craftsman, what's the model number on this thing? 10929. And now the one that I have been most excited about is from one of you guys. It is from GNU Religion. And so he has commented on some of my videos, and this is actually the second package he sent me. Funny story real quick. The other one he sent me, he said, don't film it or anything like that. And then I opened the package and got an email from him like 5 minutes later saying it was okay to film it. So I never got to film it, and I was kind of discouraged about that. So I'm actually going to get a couple of those items and bring them over here because he made some really sweet stuff. So anyway, I don't know if there's anything anything that I can't show in here. Oh, sweet. He loves 3D printing, and he makes some really cool stuff. So I think, is this TPU? No, he's got this little frog here. There might be some descriptions in here. So let me set all this stuff to the side. A bunch of the 3D printed stuff that he gave me last time, there were kids in my office who really wanted it. That feels like TPU. That's sweet. So I'm going to just get it all out, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so let's start off with some of his 3D printed stuff. He does 3D printing to some tolerances that I could not even dream of. But he has made some very, very sweet things. I don't know, is that TPU? That might even be TPU. It's super thin. Like, this is one layer. It's and it's just very cool. So this thing like rotates around, and let's see if I knew I was never going to get that back together. Let's see here. I think it's this way. Oh, wow, that is so cool. Like, that is just so cool. And this is one of those like fidgety things. Wow. Yeah, one of those little fidgety thingies that you rotate around, and that is so cool. It sounds crunchy, like I feel like I'm gonna break it, but it's really, really strong. That is so cool. And he's got one of these snakes. I've seen one of these. My friend Colby prints these things before. It looks like that. Oh, that's cool. The little tongue comes out. That's awesome. I guess I should do that on camera. The little tongue comes out of the thing. But this is a 3D printed snake. Fun story. My wife and I, we were done doing that renovation project. We went to this place called Capon Springs in West Virginia and rented a cabin. And there was sort of a hidden entrance to the upstairs. And so the second night we were there, I was like, hey, have you been upstairs yet? And so we went up there real late at night, and I was going to turn off the light, and I reached my hand. There was like a giant 6-foot black snake up there. And so he had to be captured and removed before we were going to be able to go to bed that night. But this is not as threatening as that one. And this thing, wow, look at this vise. This is so cool. Like, man, I have not taken my 3D printing to this level. That is very, very cool. So I'm guessing, yeah, it's just printed in 2 pieces. You slide the thing in there. I guess this thing would slide up. That is so sweet. And then we've got the TPU octopus. This is just amazing. I would love to be able to print TPU. There's so many different accessories for cell phones and Apple Watches and all that kind of stuff you can do with it. And a frog that definitely, this feels a little thicker than the octopus. So very, very cool. Thank you, GNU Religion. So he sent me some other stuff. I am doing some retro computing, and you may have seen some videos in here. This is a Foxconn Socket 7, looks like, fan. I mean, if it could have originally had a thermal pad on there, but this thing doesn't have a scratch on it. This thing looks like it's in really good shape. So this is a Socket 7 CPU fan, and the reason why I have that is because he was nice enough to send me this or these. It feels like it could be a these. Wow. Okay, so let's see what we got here. We have an Intel Pentium MMX. I would guess let's see here, we got, let me get the good angle at that. That is a 233 megahertz, 2.8 volt Pentium, original Pentium. Man, when MMX came out, like, it was a big deal. The 200s and the 233s had this, and all of a sudden there were these new instructions that gamers, the game manufacturers could use and stuff like that. I don't know that I've seen one with the pins visible from the top like that. So that's sweet. And then here we have a Pentium 133, and this is a Socket 7 also, if I'm not mistaken. So this is another Socket 7 CPU, and we've got a third one. What the heck? Man, I was, just in my computer lifetime, my first couple computers were Intel. I had my 7.16 megahertz Tandy. I had my 16 megahertz it was Emerson 386, and then I went forever without having another Intel as my main computer. So this is a PR200. This is sort of like what they were going with as the megahertz war started heating up. They were saying that as their instructions were faster, and so they were saying that this is basically equivalent to a Pentium 200. And that sort of marketing went on for a long time, where companies were basically giving equivalency ratings, and now we've kind of gotten away from that. But this is a Cyrex 6X86MX, again playing on that whole MMX instruction thing. So this is very cool. I can't wait to try that. I do have a new Socket 7 motherboard that I'm going to be trying. And let's see here, we've got some RAM. This, I'm guessing, 72 pin. Let's see here, we've got, feels like 72 pin. These, I guess that's what it is. These are, wow, 128 meg PC 133. Let's see here. So what's this one? 64 meg PC 100 and 64 meg PC 100. So whether I need PC 100 or PC 133, GNU Religion has me covered. So I will be featuring this stuff in a build coming up. This is so cool. Like, this is, I don't know, like, it's very, very cool that he would take the time out to send me this stuff and these parts. And this stuff is getting hard to come by. And I was looking at eBay and I didn't know what I wanted to buy. And we were just kind of chit-chatting on email, and he offered to send me this stuff. So anyway, we have this is an actual Sound Blaster. This is an SB0570. So would that be Audigy? Let's see. Yeah, it's an Audigy. So a Sound Blaster Audigy. So very, very cool. A lot of the computers this time didn't have onboard sound, or if they did have onboard sound, it was absolute crap. So with driver support and stuff like that, you can get a lot better driver support with something like an actual Sound Blaster. So sweet. I'm getting hooked up. There's another box over here. Let's see what this is. Okay. Oh, drivers too. Okay. So set up for E200 drivers. So this is a dual NIC. So let's see what this is. This is, it's a WS-E200. So I'm guessing it's a 10. I guess it would just be 10 all the way. So this is 10 base 2, and this is probably 10 base T. It could be 10 base, or it could be 100 base T. But the idea, so this thing, when I first started doing networking, this is what I liked using. You could use standard coax cable, like RG59, I guess it'd be, even RG6, and you would put BNC connectors on there, and each one of these would have a T on the end of it, and you would just kind of go from one computer to another and daisy chain them together, and then you had to put a terminator on the end of each one. And back then, like, just getting file sharing set up was ridiculously difficult and stuff like that. And I'm guessing he sent me this because he expected me to use the 10 base T, which is your standard Ethernet. And so I am going to try to get one of these old computers online. So wow, I can't even get all the stuff back in the shot. Oh, I do have one more thing. Let me clear off some space and I'll show it to you. I just popped the camera way up high. Forget shot framing. We're this far into the video. The next thing I got was this forced feedback Logitech Wingman Force 3D joystick. When I was a younger man, I had the Microsoft force feedback joystick, and I flipping loved that thing. And if you look them up online right now, they go for a pretty penny. So somebody had this thing on Facebook, and I asked a couple questions, and they're like, I don't know anything about it. If you want it, you can just have it. So I drove probably a little further than I should have, but my wife and I drove like 20 minutes to each way to go get this thing, and the lady was nice enough to just give it to me. So she says she has no idea if the thing works. I remember my other one, it would sort of flop around like this, and then when you plug it in, it would sort of spring to attention. So let's see. This does not do that, although yeah, I can't really tell if I'm feeling anything there. I have not tried plugging it into the computer yet. Oh yeah, I definitely feel some feedback in there. So what I'm going to do is I probably will save this thing for another video and try to hook up something like maybe Comanche or something. And this thing is also nice because it's USB. My old one was the 15-port game port, so 15-pin game port. So this one is USB. So I don't know. I'm going to hook the thing up. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, I'll tear it down. But it feels like it is wanting to do something there. So we'll hook it up and see what happens. So hey, thank you to GNU Religion. Thank you everybody who stuck it this long through the video to watch it. Links are in the description for any of the stuff that you can still buy. And hey, I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for watching.